It's the Ugly American Werewolf in London Rock Podcast with your hosts, the Wolf and Action Jackson, who are keeping rock alive by talking classic rock, hard rock, progressive rock, heavy metal, 80s music, early MTV, UK vs. US chart success, and much more. This is the home of classic album and live concert reviews and your place for interviews with artists and legends. You're rocking with the Wolf. Hey out there, rock and rollers. Welcome to episode number 194 of the Ugly American Werewolf in London Rock Podcast. Brought to you by me, your host, Mac B. the Wolf, and I will be joined, as always, by my partner in crime from the East Coast of the USA, Mr. Gary Action Jackson. And we want to thank everybody who tuned in to our episode last week on Iron Maiden's Power Slave as it turns 40. We've done a lot of Iron Maiden reviews over the years because, well, they're just the best damn heavy metal band ever, and we just love them. And seeing them together last summer was extraordinary. Not just because we got to bump into the band in the hotel, but just because it was a killer show, and I've never seen them do anything else but. So, since Power Slave was so big to breaking them all around the world, we had to celebrate it at 40, and I hope you like that one. This week, while we're staying with an English band, it's not one that flies on their own 747 all around the world. No, this is a younger band that maybe you don't know and are still growing their audience, growing their catalog. It's a band called October Drift, and their third album, Blame the Young, is due out here on September 27th. And we had the opportunity to not only preview the album, but because we liked what we heard so much, we got a chance to interview their lead singer and lyricist, Kiran Roy. Now, you've heard me lament on this show many times over the years that we just have a hard time finding new music. It used to be easy. It was on MTV, it was on pop radio, or our friends would tell us about what was going on. Well, now MTV is crap, radio is crap, and our friends are too old and busy to know what's happening in the world in rock and roll. So we're always upset we can't find new music. And when we had a chance to hear this and we liked it, said, yeah, so what if they weren't making records in the 70s or 80s while we were growing up? These are people putting new music out there that is like what we like. And it's got a lot of that kind of alternative 120-minute sound to it. I think you might hear some Smiths in there or some Pixies, maybe a little REM, but they have also got influences like Queen and David Bowie. It's still guitar driven, and I think more people should know about it. So when we had the opportunity to get lead singer Kiran Roy on the show, we jumped at it. And I think if you give it a listen, you're going to like a lot of it. And we got a few snippets of these new songs here on the show. So hopefully you'll like what you hear, and then you'll go out and download or buy the new album, Blame the Young, when it comes out in September. Before we get to Kiran, though, we do have a little bit of business to take care of. As always, we like to mention we are proud members of the Pantheon Podcast Network, a family of about 120-odd shows, something in there for everyone. You can learn more at pantheonpodcast.com or follow on socials at PantheonPods. And we have to give a shout out to our incredible sponsor, rarevinyl.com, who's also based in the UK, folks, but they ship all around the world and they curate and collect albums from all over the world too. So if you're looking for a mint condition first edition LP, or maybe that picture disc that you always wanted, or something from Japan that's just hard to find, go to rarevinyl.com, find a bunch of stuff that you love, and then you can use code UGLY to save 10% off your order. Now, it is a one-time code, but you can use it for one entire order, not just one item. And I saw someone go in there and buy 5 or 6 different things the other day, and that's great. You don't want to get 10% off one $8 single. You want to get 10% off 8 different things. So maybe you get the shipping free, but I can guarantee you got quality from these folks, and I can guarantee you find something out of the 250,000 items in stock that you're going to love. So go to rarevinyl.com, find that stuff you love, and use code UGLY to save a big fat 10%. Now back to Kiran, I found him a very soft-spoken young man who has been making music with his mates for about a decade now, and now they've kind of come to the age that they're not just kids goofing off anymore. They have made records. They have been on tour. They played Hyde Park, and this is that pivotal, important third album that really separates them and really kind of shows who they are and takes a big step forward in the evolution of their sound. And we enjoyed our conversation with Kiran, and we hope you will too. So let's jump into it. We're talking to Kiran Roy of October Drift here on The Wolf. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in this week. We are proud to have the lead singer and lyric writer of October Drift here with us, Kiran Roy. Kiran, hey, thanks for jumping on with the Wolf with us.
No problem at all. Thanks for having me on the podcast.
All right. Well, we want to jump in, but we want to learn a little bit more about you and your band for our American listeners who aren't as familiar with you as your home country is. So you've got this new album coming out here, Blame the Young, which is something I do every day, whether I'm in traffic or, whatever it is. But from what I understand, in going back an album to I Don't Belong Anywhere.
Yeah.
Before we get into the new one. So that one, I guess... It's your sophomore album, but it was also kind of made during COVID. Was that a little bit of a more difficult birth than this more recent one? Because it just seems like that from what you say in some of your press and interviews, that one was a little bit more difficult time. We were kind of on top of each other. We couldn't tour.
Yeah.
Whereas this one is a lot more bright and positive than the last one.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. So we did the first album in 2020 and then in the January, and then we went into the lockdown. I think we did it in the January, then we did a tour in February, and then we went into lockdown in March. And so it was like put the brakes on everything in that respect, and then it was a good opportunity to write for the next record. So most of that album was written like just in my front room on an acoustic guitar and then sort of fleshed out when we could meet up at the studio. But it's got a lot of themes of sort of isolation and sort of loneliness and that disconnect. So that was a lot of where that album came from. And then we had to write it ourselves. Record it. We recorded it ourselves in our studio, which was a first time for us as well. And I think it was, like you said, we went to an AirBNB for this next album and on the Somerset Levels, which is in the southwest of the UK.
Okay.
And it's like an old barn conversion. And we just hung out there for a week and brought all our recording gear.
In Cornwall?
Near Cornwall, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And just had like a great time, and we could pick it up whenever we wanted, and we took it in turns to cook meals, and it was great. So there's a lot of different sort of feeling about doing that one.
Cool.
And I think it does have more, the album sort of finishes on like quite a hopeful outro, I think. Yeah, it kind of goes dips, and then it has quite a hopeful positive by the end.
Symphonic almost by the end. There's a lot going on there. Yeah, absolutely. Whereabouts, did you all grow up together? You've been making music since you were teenagers, right? Did you go to school and all that?
Yeah, we went to school together in Somerset, which is, southwest. It's kind of near Bristol. I don't know if you might have heard of Bristol.
Oh, yeah, sure. Mm-hmm.
So that's where we were from. Two of the guys went to like nursery together, so they've known each other their whole lives.
Wow.
And then I met them all when we were like 13 or 14 or something. And we met through skateboarding originally.
Okay.
And then sort of started a band sometime soon afterwards. From about when we were 17, I think, 16 or 17 is when we sort of started with the four of us. Mm-hmm. So it's been quite a long time now.
And it was that first single, Robots, right, that kind of caught everyone's attention, like, hey, there's this October Drift band coming up here.
The first one we did was called Whoever Really Knows. Mm-hmm. And then it might have been Robots afterwards, actually, yeah. Yeah, it's played in a band before under a different name as well. So it's been a sort of long, small steps to get to where we are now.
Sure.
And still a long way to go if we are to continue growing. But yeah, it's been a very organic process to get to where we are now as well. And so I think in the UK, at least, we've sort of built quite a solid foundation just from touring and stuff like that. It's been very traditional in that respect. Like, not been thrown in the media or anything. It's just been sort of gradual build with touring and word of mouth. And I think more recently we've seen growth over doing like the reels on Instagram and like those short form content and stuff.
Okay.
Which has been, reached a bunch of people that we didn't expect to reach. So that's been interesting. But on the whole, it's been a very sort of organic build, natural build, I think, in terms of growing our audience and stuff like that, which has been cool.
But what about us now? What are these thorns caught in our back? It's there from above now. We're falling for an airborne panic attack. But what about us, man? What are these wires that catch our skin? We're doing all we can.
Well, you're doing it the old-fashioned way, right? You're playing live, winning fans along the way. It's great that you have this TikTok or whatever, the different social medias that you can get to places. You can get fans in Australia, even though you've never been down there, and it's the entire world away, or America, or what have you. But the traditional way of building an audience is getting out there and proving to people that we're worth coming to see live. That they tell two people, and the next show, it's bigger, right?
It's actually interesting you said, like, we're with the America being so big, but the American fan. But our Spotify stats, so you can see that America's the most listened to. I think there's most listens in America, but like you said, we've never been, and it's so big as well that might not necessarily mean if we toured, anyone would really be at those shows. I'm not sure.
You never know.
Never know. Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
So growing up, who were the big bands that influenced you?
The guys would definitely say Guns N' Roses. That wasn't me so much, but there's a lot of sort of classic rock. That was like the first bands that we played in were like classic rock kind of bands and things like that. Then when we kind of hit maybe like when we went to college, maybe we were about 18, 19, we sort of started hanging out at the record shop that was there, that used to be there in the town where we grew up. And Phil, the record shop owner, would sort of play us loads of new releases that he was getting in and he thought we might like, and older stuff as well. And that kind of got us into a lot of the stuff that influenced us more in terms of what we're doing now, I think. Yeah,
because I wouldn't say, I hear you guys, and Guns N' Roses doesn't immediately come to mind for me, you know.
No, I know.
It's definitely got some of that 80s British. I was trying to define you, and I really couldn't. And I guess as an artist, that's a really good thing. But to give our listeners kind of an idea of the sound that you make, you know, I heard, maybe a tiny little bit of Smiths in there at some point.
Yeah.
I heard a little bit of the Replacements, which is an American band, which you may not know that well.
I don't know them. I don't think. No.
Well, listen to the show. We're going to do one of their 40th anniversary albums here before too long. But in fact, Tommy Stinson, who was an original in the Replacements, he was in Guns N' Roses during the dirty years, during the like when Slash was out of the band, and it was basically the Axl Rose show. But I hear a little bit of that, the kind of ringing guitars in the background, a little bit of the Church, an Australian band that we really like. But it's got that 80s English sound that you would hear on 120 Minutes on MTV when we were growing up. That's when we heard this. I'm like,
Echo and the Bunnymen were a big band that we got into.
There you
in the
go.
80s.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say Psychedelic Furs. I heard that. It's just we got the opportunity to talk to you, and so Mac was like, "Take a listen to this and tell me what you think. This sounds really good. It's very listenable. It's just something that the album just kind of hooks you, and then you go through there and listen to all the tracks, and that's really what it reminded me of. It's very easy to listen to.
Oh, cool. Thanks. I mean, it's funny when the easy to listen to thing, because I think we do aim to sort of have, big hooks and things that are nice on the ear, but as well as being quite sort of nasty at sound at times, but like still is, like you said, what's the word I'm looking for?
It's nice to
accessible.
There you go, accessible. But then you kind of listen to it a couple more times, and you've got some lyrics in there that are pretty cool.
Yeah,
that I like. So that's kind of our favorite deal, where it's the album kind of welcomes you in, but then there's more layers to it underneath. So the more you listen to it, the better it gets.
Cool. I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, we don't listen to a lot of rap, but with rap, the lyrics are obvious. Usually, we got to get hooked by the music, by the riff, by the whatever that is, the melody, the way you do it, and then it's almost like your voice is an instrument, but I can't make out what you're saying until the third or fourth or however many times I listen to it. And then what you're singing about can ring true, can make more sense, and you've got some punk elements in there, but it's not all punk. I know that you kind of had some, I don't know if they would call it shoegazer, influence there, but it's not that either. Even if a song kind of starts off slow, you're like, this is most shoegazer songs. Then you come up with the burn, the big riff and the big chorus, which gets everybody up. It's not unhappy shoegazing. It's not pissed off punk. It's positive, it's upbeat. And you can dance to it. When's the last new band that you could dance to, Gary, that we heard? You know what I mean?
It's been a while. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there that unfortunately today it's really easy to make a record so that a lot of people can put out records, but that's not the best thing because there's a lot of crap out there. And so it's really cool to find an album like this that's brand new. I didn't know anything about you, but to listen to it and to say, hey, I've listened to this on my own. I really like this. And then now to go back and you've got two other records to listen to.
Yeah,
explore.
Because exactly.
Well, thanks so much, guys. I really appreciate that you like it so much. Yeah, it means a lot.
Nothing's roses anymore. Keep me up when I wanna go down. Pick me up when I wanna be found. Speed me up when I gotta slow down.
Now, before we're getting too personal here, you come down to the last track, and we're going to hop around a little bit here. The Not Running Anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You're My Favorite Mess.
Yeah.
Are you talking about yourself? Are you talking about the band? I mean, it is kind of a soaring, uplifting thing here, but are you finally at peace with the fact that you're in a band and that makes the rest of your life messy? I'm just trying to understand what you may have meant with some of that.
Yeah, I think you could see that song in different ways, I think, but it is definitely, like you said, a positive, and it ends with you're not alone. You're not alone, and it's kind of an accepting of your life and the acceptance of, and it's also sort of a bit defiant as well, like the not running anymore. You're comfortable in your own skin, and you're accepting your surroundings, and this is your life. And I think it's more that, yeah.
Well, I'm glad you came to that realization at such a young age, because it took us a while, to kind of figure out, because you've got big dreams when you're young, right? And then you kind of get into this work thing that we were into, this corporate thing. You're like, well, this is what I'm supposed to do, right? But does it make you happy? Once you realize what you really want to do may not be the thing that everyone else wants you to do, but this is what works for you. Once you can accept that, it's not even getting them to accept it, it's getting you to accept it. That's where the happiness is going to come from.
Yeah. And the Crawl Away from the Cathedral, God Don't Love You Anymore, as like, they could mean a lot of different things to different people, I think. Even on a sort of religious, I'm not a religious person, but I think a lot of that is kind of crawling, it's kind of getting away from the thing that's been weighing you down or whatever, and standing on your own. Yeah. Yeah. So I think that could mean a lot of different things to different people.
And that's the cool part about listening to music just in general. You can have two people listen to the same song and come away with two different meanings. And that's the beauty of it. You put it out, and if it means that to you, perfect.
Mm-hmm. Now, what about Hollow? To me, it sounds like it's a conversation between you and maybe a lover, somebody you've got a pretty close relationship with, but just the way the song works, you've got that down low bass, and then right next to it juxtaposes the kind of high-pitched guitar. I'm like, that's two people on two different pages right there, but they're doing it with music. I thought that was pretty clever.
Yeah, thanks. And that song came about, we did a writing weekend. We went and booked an Airbnb and did just a night or two, and that song came out of that pretty much like fully formed, which was cool. And it was sort of came from a jam as well, which is nice. It was quite a natural thing where Chris started playing the drums, and I think it was just literally like that. The bass and the guitar all kind of came together, and that high guitar sound was like, I can't remember. I think we put a certain pedal after a distortion or anyway, we did something new and it sounded cool. Yeah, it was a new sound. So,
well, we were talking before you came on, Jackson, about their drummer Chris Holmes, who is not only a fine drummer, but he's got a thick voice, and he's basically the background behind Kiran here, doing harmonies or making those big choruses that we like together. And Kiran even said that Chris had kind of a bigger range, broader range, so he can kind of do these different things while Kiran's delivering you the goods here up front, man. It kind of makes that sound that we like.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's nothing I hate worse than when you hear a song where the singer is basically doubling himself, like they just put two tracks together. Like, that's never going to come through live.
Right.
So the fact that you've got another guy in the band that can sing harmony with you is cool, because that's going to translate when you show up in real life.
Yeah, we're lucky to have Chris has got such a good voice that it's surreal, and he's brilliant. He plays the drums, but his sort of the way his mind works for song ideas and for structures and stuff like that. He's like really involved in that sort of whole process. So we're lucky to have him.
And I know you said you've been together since high school. Some of the boys since kindergarten or whatever. Tell us the other members of your band and their role, please.
So we're a very DIY band in a lot of respects, So we've got kind of different roles that we are all. Dan and Alex, or Biz, we call him. That's the guitar and the bass. They basically record all the music. They recorded the last two albums. Alex has done all the artwork on this next release and all the posters and everything as well for the vinyls and everything. So that's been a big job that he's sort of been snowed under with, which I think he's done a great job on. And then me and Chris. And Chris is quite often takes a sort of managerial role. He's quite kind of like a manager, as well as we do have a manager, Jamie, as well. And then there's me, who's just
who's just out front writing all the lyrics.
The songs.
Yes, exactly. Pen to paper.
So when you're writing these songs, do they come to you with the music first? Do you have the lyrics first? Do you meet in the middle? How does that work?
Yeah, we've met at the studio for like 3 days a week for years and years and years. So most of the time we've got loads of different musical ideas, and then I try and piece bits of vocal on top of what we've got and sort of patchwork it together most of the time. But actually, like I said, with the COVID and things, a lot of that was written pretty much in full songs on an acoustic guitar and then fleshed out. But that was more to the circumstance than what we've been doing now. Is mostly like recording ideas, and then I'll come home and try and work some things out to them, or try them in the studio, try just lyrics over the existing musical ideas.
Well, that's why we were talking about demos the other day, and why I love to listen to demos when people release them, mostly after the fact, like on the 40th anniversary or whatever.
Yeah.
I love to hear where it started from and where it ended, just because I'm a fan of the creative process. You have it, you work it, and then you say, I think this works better to get the final product.
Yeah.
I just love that whole idea of, start to finish writing a song.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, we've got heaps of demo versions of all of our songs, and you listen to some of them and it's like so slow, or it's you're like, wow, I can't believe we had it like that. But,
why was that a good idea?
Yeah. Or there's like vocal, like I said, like patchwork almost. There's like different vocals from different songs that you hear on demos that are picked from, like, work over something but not something else.
But on Everybody Breaks, the harmony you and Chris are doing together is really strong. The guitar is kind of spare, but your voice really stands out once you hear Chris kind of come in, right?
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So you're gigging around the UK, and your first European headline tour is going to be this fall, which is great. What kind of reaction do you get from folks around the UK, especially if they see you the first time? I mean, does it get stronger throughout the tour?
Yeah, it could do a bit, but I think the UK, it took years for us to we've played to no one for years around touring the UK. And it's really nice to be now, on the small venue sort of circuit. We've got great crowds everywhere we go in the UK, which is like, brilliant. So the Europe is a whole new adventure. That's like our first ventures over there as, headline shows. So some of the Netherlands and Germany are selling really well. But then some of them like are slow to start, which we expected. We didn't really know what to expect, but we definitely knew that some of them would be slow to start. And that, like I said, this is our first sort of dipping our toes in it. So, and it's a way off as well. So I'm sure they'll be cool.
You've got time, right? Yeah. And the album comes out September 27th, called Blame the Young. And the first song is the title track, Blame the Young. Now, why was it that this one is why you wanted to name the album after? Because the first single, Demons, could have called it Demons, but Blame the Young was the answer, yeah? I
mean, we sort of back and forth on the title for ages. And I think at the time I was a bit on the fence with it, but grew to like it. There's something quite defiant about it. And there's something, because we started this sort of making music together since we were kids as well, something about it feels like it's got that youthful defiance, that youthful energy. And the energy is part of our live show that we've always tried to be part of, and having it as the album artwork as a live picture as well. And we tried to keep that sort of artwork consistent across the sort of albums and stuff like that, get the drill home the live thing. And, we are a live band. That's like first and foremost what we do. And I think that was our idea of sort of just drilling all of that home,
Blame your age. Blame your
Yeah, I remember I was watching the Olympics on TV. Like, I had the views, the sound off when I was listening to you guys. Then Wallflower comes on, and you talked about the Eiffel Tower, and then it was like a break, and they're showing the Eiffel Tower like, this is a commercial break. Until then, here's the Eiffel Tower. Like, does this mean something? I'm looking for greater meaning. Is someone showing me this for a reason? Yeah. But I think it was because the next song is Don't Care, and I love this song. This song kicks ass. I think it's my fave. It's just got great groove part ahead of the hop up and down and sing along part. I really dig that one. Where does that one come from?
That was like that song, as much as I think it's Chris. That song's really like Chris's baby. He had the idea for that song. I think he wrote the melodies to the song.
Okay.
And like kind of orchestrated how it's funny because he doesn't play an instrument, so he gets really frustrated because he has an idea that he can hear in his head, but he doesn't really know how to say how to do it. Yeah.
So he's yelling at the people in the band. No, play it like this.
Yeah.
Well, that's our problem when it comes to music. That's why we talk to musicians, are not musicians ourselves. But go ahead, yes.
So that song really was, his. I think that was his baby, and I think it's come out great as well. Especially has that energy, but I think that if I remember right, that it was literally like Chris had laid the melodies on, and then I'd sort of wrote the lyrics over what with his ideas, and I couldn't get that first lyric of the chorus, which ended on "Don't Care," I think. And then he was like, "I'll just do it as the first line as well." So it was collaborative, but of any of the songs on the album, that one's Chris's.
Gotcha. Well, it works, and it's gonna go down great live. I think the people are gonna love it live.
Yeah, I think so. I think it would be a good live tune as well, definitely.
Hi, this is Guy Fletcher from Dire Straits, and you're listening to The Ugly American Werewolf in London.
Go ahead, Jackson. What always happens, Kiran, is that I just start going, and I get all excited. I want to ask all these questions, and Jackson's like, we went over this, and I have good questions too. Like, sorry, so I'm gonna step back for a minute.
I'll just say quickly on the "Don't Care" one, we're going to start learning all these songs for the tour, like starting next week.
Mm-hmm.
But "Don't Care" is one of the ones where it's quite low in the verses, and then it jumps up an octave for the choruses.
Okay.
So I'm going to have to see how that, we'll just have to see. I'm sure I can do it, but I'm like, that could be a difficult one to be doing.
You can do it. Yeah. You want to stretch out before, right? You don't want to just go in cold on that one.
For sure.
And so that's an interesting deal. How do you put the live show together? Because you have to track the songs so that the audience stays with you. And like you said, maybe you've got a song that you thought to yourself, man, this will work, and then it really doesn't. Is that a collaborative thing, or is one person like the musical director?
No, it's got to be collaborative, and there's a lot of guitar tunings that Dan plays in a bunch of different guitar tunings.
Okay.
So when we're piecing together the set, it can be like, that works fine, but like Dan's got no time to tune his guitar, and so you've got to work it out. We've even written little bits of instrumental so that like Dan can tune here.
Yeah, gotcha. Because you're not at that point that when Dan has one guitar for every song, right? And
no, and we've got no guitar tech or anything.
Right? Yes, exactly.
That we normally just sort of hash it out in a room together and work out the set, work out what works best. And we're I don't know if this means anything. We've been on monitors for the up until now, but we're going to go on to the in-ear monitoring.
Oh, okay.
So we're gonna I think will allow us to do some different stuff, because at the moment, like all of our songs, we're kind of relying on Chris being onto a click, and then we've got to stay in time with the drums, so he's got to click in for a lot of stuff, and it's not all to click, but I think this in-ear monitoring will allow us to do breakdowns and stuff without drums in it, and we can.
Cool.
Anyway, we'll see, but it should be cool. Yeah.
Well, that's why they have rehearsal, right? Yeah. Let's talk about Tyrannosaurus Wreck. Okay, this is near the end of the album. Great ringing guitar, very like 80s, English 80s to me. And it sounds like you're making light of being a huge mess outside of the band. Like, band is my thing. Outside of it, bleh. This one definitely what does have that sort of relationship thing, I think a lot of the album has that, as well as the band and everything else, and talking to yourself as well. There's a lot of that as well. But this one, is a relationship sort of song, I guess. But like you said, it's kind of making light of the kind of heavy themes. Like there's an element of humor. It's a little bit tongue in cheek. Absolutely.
When I brought that Tyrannosaurus Wreck line to the band in the studio, they were really like, we don't know if this is the best or the worst lyric you've ever brought to the table here. Yeah. We'll have to sleep on that one. I'm glad they liked it, because I loved it. But yeah, it's almost a bit silly, but and we filmed this video as well a week or two ago. Okay. Anyway, and I'm in a dinosaur costume, a dinosaur onesie. And again, it was like, is this too silly? And I was on the fence with whether it would be too silly for the video, but again, everyone we've shown it to has really liked it, so it's on its way.
I can't wait to see it. Yeah, and it's upbeat. I mean, you can dance to it. You're going to get girls into the show with the tunes like this, man.
Yeah, so
that's a good thing.
14th of August, whenever that is, like next week.
Okay, yeah. Week from Wednesday as we're talking here, yeah.
Yeah, so, I'm looking forward to having that song out as well. That was one of my favourites on the record, and we didn't think it would be one of the singles, so I'm pleased that it has become one of the singles. That's another tricky thing, picking the singles, and I'm glad that one's made the singles cut.
This is not where I saw next. Digging graves nowadays. I'm a Tyrannosaurus.
Because we talk about that a lot, tracking an album. It's like you got to come out and hit them in the face, right? And then you got to build, but then you got to pull it back. And then you don't want to hide your great tunes too far down the album because some people don't even make it that far, right?
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
front load it with the singles and things like that. And we were all pretty much on the same page on the album, apart from a few different things a couple songs that we sort of had different ideas on. But yeah, that's when the heated discussions and stuff can take place, you know, when you feel something like it should be a certain way. And then you live with it for a bit and you're like, actually, no, this is cool as well. But also when you're so in it as well and you've heard all the songs and stuff, it's easy to get too wrapped up in it and then have some time away from it and come back to it and you can appreciate it for what it is easier. You know, when you hear the songs and you work the songs and you feel like so invested in them.
Yeah. Yeah. And you've written them together as a group. So you don't have like those Queen problems like Freddie wants his song to be the single. Well, no. Well, if that's the case, then Brian's got to have his song on the B side, right? Then, oh, well, then Roger's got to have the next. You don't have to deal with all that because you've all written it together. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I can imagine from a song if it was like that with egos and also probably with money as well. It's probably like royalties involved in whose songs are getting singles and stuff like that. Whereas, you know, we've always we'll always split everything 4 ways. And no, not that we make any money, but you know what I mean, theoretically.
But in theory, we will split it 4 ways.
You know, you say that about egos. It's not. It's about money. It's always about money.
Right.
It's what it comes down to. So that's cool that you guys are doing it that way. I think that makes everybody feel happy. Makes everybody feel like they're part of it. I can't even imagine what that's like when you've got people in a band and then the royalty checks start showing up and 2 people out of everybody get these huge paydays and everybody else is just, you know, what are we doing?
It must be weird, right? Especially especially the way that like this band or, you know, like I said, we've been 4 friends from school and we all have different roles within the band that like none of it works without one of us doing the, you know, whatever it is. The artwork or making the videos or recording or so I don't see why like writing the lyrics necessarily makes you worthy of earning more money within that. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. But I mean, you know, let's say you're Sting and every breath you take's going to be a hit. You don't want one of Stewart's Miss Gradenko songs at the B-side because the B-side's worth as much as the A-side when it comes to sales. Not the same on the radio, obviously, but single sales. He's like, I'm not giving him half the money for my hit.
Never thought about that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then all of a sudden there's tension, right? So it seems like you've solved some of that with the whole, like, U2, like, everyone gets a quarter. We're all going to put on. REM was the same way. Another band that you may sound a little bit like, at least with the guitars sometimes.
Yeah.
Peter Buck said a long time ago. He's like, look, I've done a lot of research. The number one reason bands break up is fighting over royalty payments. So everyone will bring what they bring to the songs. We'll all split it 4 ways. And look, they never had a turnover. They never had new members in their band.
They're still friends as well, aren't they? Like,
yeah, that's right.
Sort of retired from gigging and stuff, but they still hang out and stuff, I think, which is cool.
It's kind of amazing. So for kids, who grew up together, I think that would still be the goal, that by the time you get to their 60s, you would still be friends after all of this.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we all have our ups and downs and stuff when you're especially, like we are kind of like brothers, you know what I mean? We grew up together, so there's always going to be little bickers and things like that, especially when you're in a van and tired and all of that. But we are still, such good friends, such good mates after all this time. And, all that shared experience is quite unusual, I guess. I mean, I know that happens to bands all the time, but still kind of rare to have that. Friends from school still, with all that shared experience is cool. It's special.
Yeah, hold on to that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the whole creative process is really what fascinates me, and it's cool that it sounds like you guys all do it together. To me, that makes the record experience just feel more. It just feels more like it's a package deal. Like when you get the one person who writes the songs, or 1 or 2, it kind of feels like it's the same thing over and over and over again sometimes. But where this is, you've got a kind of a nice mix. You're all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
It just to me, it makes it a more enjoyable experience.
Yeah, well, Alex, the bass player, writes some of the guitar parts, and we've like Chris has an idea for what the guitar part should be, and we kind of try and work it out And so yeah, 100%, like everyone's involved.
Yeah, and I think to me you can really see that, and it also kind of comes through how much fun you guys are having too. So I'm glad that there can't be anything worse than having to go back together with a band when you're like, all right, well, let's get through this any way that we can.
Yeah.
Well, and it's strong, man. I mean, start to finish, the album is strong. I mean, the last 7 songs: Tyrannosaurus Wreck, which is the next single; Hollow; Heal, which is very uplifting with some great drum work from Chris, and then Not Running Anymore, this kind of symphonic, send off. A lot of people peter out, towards the end of the album. Like you said, you got to front load it. So a lot of times the last few songs, like, okay, whatever we got left, your third worst song is the last song, and your second worst song is the second to last song.
Yeah.
Not here, man. This is a great collection of songs that are strong throughout, but there is flow to it. Everybody Breaks and Borderline. It's kind of a contrast between the Wallflower Don't Care before you get to the Tyrannosaurus Wreck and Heal and all.
Yeah, we did kind of see it as two sides almost, and it's kind of hits a rock bottom, like emotionally, with Everybody Breaks and Don't Care, and then Borderline is like the crossing over the line into the second half, and there's into this more sort of positive outro. So we did kind of maybe overthink this sort of stuff, but that we wanted it to take you on a bit of a journey and have that flow to it. And I guess the music's maybe the way it is with the singles closer to the beginning, but it kind of gets more expansive and more like epic towards the end, perhaps, like you said.
But how can you not overthink it, though? I mean, this is your record, right? This is your baby. This is here forever. Whatever happens with the band, this will always be here. So you want to put all you can into getting it just the way you want, and I think it's paid off for you guys.
Thank you.
I think it's a solid effort.
The first album was like, we went into the studio and it was like all the songs we'd written, the best songs we'd written to that point, and then like put down on a record and like put in an order that we thought sounded cool, but it was kind of written from all over the place. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
The next album, I think, definitely was written from the same place and the same perspective and stuff like that. But I think this one, we've got it the best we've got it so far anyway, in terms of it being a journey. And yeah, I mean, I'm proud of all the albums, but I do think we've given it our best shot on this next one.
That would drive me insane. I don't know how. Like, I don't know how you could say, okay, we're done. Oh, wait. What about this? I just do this one a little, or maybe we can. No, that's it. We're done. It's perfect. Move on.
Yeah, I mean, we did most of the album in that week in the Airbnb, which was cool that we had got most of it done. Then we went to James, who does our live sound. He's got a studio in Kent, in like near London, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went to his for a few days and did some bits with him. Re-recorded a few bits. There's 1 or 2 tracks that we had like written and recorded which didn't make the album, so we just didn't sort of come together in the same way as the others. So hoping they maybe will be, make the next one. Need a bit more work.
That's okay. That's great. I mean, it's just good to see the young folks like you pushing forward on this, because a lot of times if you don't make it by your second record, like, oh, we're not huge stars, well, let's just try something else. Also, it's the old adage, you've got your whole life to write your first record. So you've got these ideas from all over the place, different points in your life, putting them together. Then, all right, some people know who you are now. Now you've got like 6 months to put the next one together, maybe a little longer because COVID kind of broke the world and it was a little bit different there. But what makes and breaks bands usually is that third album. Like, a lot of people can have one great song and it makes the first album, they get a hit. Now people are interested. The second one, okay, it's tough because you got to make it, really fast, generally speaking. But then the third, it's like, okay, we've grown up now. We've done some touring. We've been in the studio. We've written some songs. Who are we? And I think you're really helping define yourself with this one, man.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, you do have more sort of life experience and stuff collectively as well. Like, we've all gone through changes and things, as grown up, feel like we know each other, we know ourselves a little more, So yeah, I do think that stuff will come across.
Sleep on a piece of broken heart. Lay all your demons down on me. Cut every cord and let them bleed. Call me out, I'm alive. I'm the greatest weight on the weakest side. Lay all your demons down on me.
So Guns N' Roses, huh? This came from Guns N' Roses.
I would not have guessed that. When you said that, I was like, really?
Really? Yeah.
Right?
There's a lot of the classic rock stuff that we initially sort of bonded over, definitely. And then, like I said, when we went to college, I think it was more, we got introduced to a lot more sort of indie and sort of more alternative stuff. Like, yeah.
Was there anybody in the band that had something, and I don't want to say weird, but like, kind of everybody listened to one thing, and then you had one guy who was like, oh no, you've got to get into like, 50s rock or something like that, where it's like, what? Why would you listen to that?
Band nobody knows about.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Find these guys.
Probably, but I'm struggling to think. I mean, there was a long time when Biz, the bass player, just listened to like drum and bass and stuff, but he didn't really he played the bass in our band and didn't really listen to music. But I mean, that was a long time ago. They didn't really listen to, bands so much, but he does now. I think he loves Radiohead, and
that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's it like getting all this, getting like positive press? I mean, I know people say you shouldn't read your press because the negative one brings you down for no good reason. But like if Q Magazine says you're a muscular slug of sugar-coated power rock, or the Independent's like a flourishing reputation for live shows, doesn't that make you feel good? That makes say, hey, somebody gets it.
Yeah, of course. It's like a nice thing to. I can't remember. It validates what you've been doing, I guess. But I think it's also dangerous. You don't rely on it too much,
Right.
Because if you allow it to like make you feel really great, if it doesn't come, you're allowing it to actually affect how you feel, and ultimately it's a nice little validation, but it's just someone's opinion,
Yeah, you don't make music for the critics; you make it for the fans. Yeah.
Right, and that's what I was going to say. You said you've built this base of fans. And that's, to me, that's the way to do it. Rather than having like a big hit single and then people kind of run over to you, they will listen to all your songs. They will give it a chance. They can't wait for the next record to come out to kind of see where you've gone. So that I don't know, that would be hard for me too, to put this thing out and just say, hey, I know it's great, I love it, and then you put it out there, and then unfortunately some people like to rip stuff apart. But I mean, if you know that it's great, you have to just say people will find this and people will listen to it.
Well, it's all subjective as well, and I don't think we definitely have not been like a hype band or like a media band or like a flash in the pan. It's been a slow build, and we've had little things along the way, like radio plays and features in magazines and stuff like that, but it's not been they've been sort of sprinkled here and there. It's not been how we've built or how people have discovered us on the whole. So I don't know, it'd be nice to get more of that stuff, but I'm not that's definitely not why we're here for.
Exactly. That's not what's going to fill you up. Yeah.
Nope.
Now I read somewhere that you were on stage at BST Hyde Park a couple of years back. I must have missed you because when was I there, Jackson? In 22, I was there. I saw the Stones twice. I took my daughter to see Duran Duran, but on one day you were slotted between the Pixies and Pearl Jam. Is that right? Yeah. That's a pretty big gig, my friend. How did that go down?
It was. I mean, we were on the like the other stage.
Yeah.
It went Pixies and then us and then Pearl Jam. So it was, people turned their heads.
People had to turn around. Yeah, that's right.
But it was cool. It was just great to be there as well. And it was a good gig. Eddie was getting a bit too old for climbing, so I tried to fill his boots and I climbed a tree.
Did you get stuck out there?
No, I had to jump down from the tree, climb the tree. I needed a little boost as well. I wasn't sure if I was going to make it, but I'm not as good as Eddie.
Well, Eddie's not as good as Eddie anymore, so you don't have to worry about that, my friend. Yeah. That big tree.
But they were great. They were still great.
They can still deliver live. How are the Pixies? Because there's a little bit of Pixies in a couple of songs you could hear on this album. I don't know if they were a direct influence of yours, but some of that ringing guitar, it's like, yeah, I can hear that a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. There's a Pixies influence for sure. And like Nirvana were a huge influence as well. So I think that stems from that as well, The Pixies, I've only saw a song or something because we had to go and set up. Okay. And I think the guys maybe watched a little bit more, and everyone said it sounded really great because they weren't sure if it would still be good live, but apparently it was.
Yeah.
I didn't see it. I only saw a song or so.
All right, so let me ask you this question. This is going to hurt my feelings, but you were talking about Pearl Jam. Like, when you think of Pearl Jam, is that like classic rock to you?
Yeah, I guess so.
That came out like when we were in college. That was brand new. So
right, yeah. Same with Nirvana.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. I mean, that's a weird thing as well, isn't it? Like, even bands that we were listening to at college are like 20 plus years old, and they're like historic bands.
Well, it's strange to me because my son is in high school now, and I drop him off at school, and I see band T-shirts from the 90s. People are wearing Nirvana, Soundgarden. When we were in high school, there was nobody listening to bands 20 years that they would actually advertise.
Okay, yeah.
Right,
That's
that
a
we
good
would
point.
advertise. Yeah.
Well,
because we were
actually
doing
30.
that, Jackson. We were listening to bands that were 20 years old in high school. It's just those were the Rolling Stones and Pink Floyd. Those are pretty big bands, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just so glad to see they're influenced by Queen and David Bowie. I'm like, well, they didn't. I mean, like, we saw them on MTV when we were 10. They'd broken up by the time you were born, right? You know, it's like some of these bands, like, I love Guns N' Roses. Like, yeah, I remember their huge tour. You guys weren't even born yet, you know, right? But you found them the same way we went back and found the Stones and found Pink Floyd and all that stuff. So that's what keeps this rock alive, is people like you who not only hear it, but then you can translate into something new and cool.
Yeah, I guess that's the hard bit, but all of these, it's not conscious a lot of the time, all this stuff just sort of, it's an amalgamation of all these life experiences and all these things you've heard. And sometimes you can have an idea that's come from a song, and there's a direct link, but it ends up sounding nothing like that song. Do you know what I mean? Especially if this genre is different or something like that.
Absolutely. So what are you looking for? Any place in Europe you're most looking forward to playing this fall?
Nowhere specific. I mean, I'm really excited for the Netherlands shows because I didn't expect the tickets to be as good as they are. So that'll be great. But I mean, the whole tour in general, I think will be great fun.
It will be. I'm sorry I moved from Amsterdam a year and a half ago for many reasons.
You?
Yeah, I was living in London, not too far from Abbey Road. Then we moved to Amsterdam. And I'm like, this is great. I love Amsterdam.
Yeah.
You don't need a car. People are cool.
Yeah.
Whatever. Lots of music comes through here. And then after we've been there 3 months, basically America called and said, you have to come back. I said,
oh, really?
No, I don't want to come back. I just got my residency card today. You want a pain in the ass that wants to get this? Like, sorry, you got.
Oh, man, sorry. That sounds like a pain in the ass.
Well, it's a bummer, and I had to give up my Peter Gabriel tickets and my Roger Waters tickets, but I came back for Metallica and Iron Maiden, and I took Jackson with me, so that was awesome.
Oh, cool.
So, all right, we're gonna let you get out of here this afternoon, but anything you want to tell our listeners about your music that we may not have covered?
I honestly, nothing's springing to mind, but
all right.
Thanks so much for having me on the show, and I really hope we can make it to the States, sooner than later. I'm so glad you guys like the album.
We would love that. You make it, we'll find a way to come see you, man, for sure.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, you bet. All right, well,
it's nice to meet you both.
All the best to you, Kiran.
Thanks.
Keep up the good work and have some fun out there on the road. You're welcome back anytime.
Thank you so much, guys. Have a good day.
Have a good one.
Take care.
It was fun talking to Kiran Roy of October Drift. So glad that we found this band. So glad we had the time to speak with him, learn a bit more about their creative process and what they're up to, and all about Blame the Young, which is due out here September 27th. And I really hope you guys give it a chance. Go out there, give it a listen, give it some downloads, maybe buy the album, maybe give them a reason to come here to America and tour around and start to see what it's like to be over here with all us big rock and roll fans in the US of A. If you like that kind of classic English 80s ringing guitar that you might hear from the 120 Minutes time, I think that you'll like this album. And if you don't give it a chance, I don't want to hear any more about how you can't find new music. We're helping you here. This is a good band. We get stuff from new bands all the time that we don't put on the show because they're not that good, or they're not a good fit, or we just don't personally like it. But we like this one. October Drift is good. I like Kiran's voice. I like the way they put the music together, and I guarantee you they're good live. I can't tell you that from personal first-hand knowledge, but just because of the way the songs sound, the way that they're produced and written and recorded, you can tell that this isn't just studio magic for you to kind of scratch your chin and say, oh, this is very good. No, these are songs that deserve to be played live, and I bet the atmosphere at their shows are great. And for everybody on the continent there, especially our friends in the Netherlands, go check out October Drift this fall. You can learn more about them at octoberdrift.com. Check them out all over socials. We're going to be tagging them on all socials, especially over this first week here. And then once they're on tour, we'll be doing some more of that as well. So thanks to Kiran. All the best for this new record. I hope people find it and like it as much as we do. And we like to know, folks, did we get something right? Did we get something wrong? Did we miss the point? Did we leave out your favorite part? Hey, email us and let us know. It's uglyamericanwerewolf@gmail.com. Let us know the bands, the albums, the tours, the concerts, the DVDs, the rock properties you want to hear more about on the show. Or send us some bands that you like and would like to get interviewed on the show, learn more about what they're up to. You can follow us on all the big socials. Of course, we need you to download and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Is the lifeblood of growing the show are those downloads. But a thing that can really help, if you're thinking about it, hey, please go out and give us a positive review wherever you get your podcast. It just helps us find more rock and rollers like you, helps us get more killer artists like Kiran and October Drift onto the show. And if we get wind of it, hey, we might just read it out on an episode. Thanks as always to Pantheon Pods for making us part of the family. And thanks to rarevinyl.com, where if you use the code UGLY, you can save a big fat 10% off one entire order. That's it for this week, my friends. Lots of great album reviews and some more killer interviews on the way. We've got some stuff we're really excited about that we can't wait to share with you. So stay tuned. And until next time, to all you rock and rollers all around the world, be cool and keep doing what you do to keep rock alive.